All right, let's continue on. We talked last time about APIs, so here is the OMDB API. Remember, an API is essentially a means by which we can communicate with the outside world. So we have some data. It's sitting in a database somewhere about astronomy or movies or Pokemon or literally whatever. Like there's all kinds of data about all kinds of stuff, right? And we want to have a interface, something that connects to the outside world, so that we have a controlled way for someone to get the data they need to do what they want to do. APIs allow us to do that. So the API is essentially a controlled way for someone to come along and ask you for information from your database without giving them the password and the keys. Again, there's thousands of APIs out there. There's just thousands. Some of them are free, some of them are not. There's some APIs you have to pay for, meaning you have to pay for by the use. And there's some like the OMDB API, which are completely free. They don't charge you a thing to use their API. So usually what you do is you look over the website of the API you want to use. They should have documentation. Is there a standard for documentation? No. Does that mean that certain APIs have better quality documentation than others? 100%. It just depends on who you get. So again, you didn't build this and you don't have control over it, so whatever they did, they did. There are some moves to try to standardize the ways in which API is documented, but since there's nothing to enforce that, like I said, it's a wild, wild west. To interact with APIs, we have this Postman, all right, this program called Postman, which I 100% assure you will be using in your job. Okay, Postman is a great way to work with APIs. It has the couple main things. So first off, you have the type of request you're making. Get, post, put, patch, delete, etc. You mainly care about get and post. You will sometimes do patch and sometimes do delete. But patch and delete change the data on the database. So like delete will delete a record and patch will update the record. Most people will not let you do that. They want you to be able to get information, but they don't want you touching their database or deleting anything. So when you're using a third-party API, 90% of the time you will be using get. Okay, to get information, right? This get verb means, hey, give me information. Right? So you'll pick a verb that you want to use. We're going to use get. And then you're going to put the base, we'll start from the beginning here, but you'll put the base API, the base URL at the beginning. So we're going to omdbapi.com. Now you're wondering, where the heck did I get that? Well, that's the name of the website. It's right here. They also give you an example of how to send requests. Usually if it's good documentation, you will find an example like this right here. So they want you to put in omdapi.com/ and then this question mark means, hey, the next thing is a variable, all right, that I'm going to put in. So they're called query parameters. All right, parameters, query parameters. And what this is expecting is a parameter called API key, and you give it a key. So if we look back at Postman, I did that already. I had this key called API key, and then I gave it a value. This is the value that I got from signing up for OMDB. Yours might be different. All right. After that, we can put some parameters in. I'm going to put in. Usually you look at the parameters. So like T will be for title of the movie to search for. So we're going to search for a movie. What we can do is we can go to this params tab right here, and then we can literally just put it in. So I'm going to put T, Doctor Strange, and where did I get T from? T came from here. Okay, so here T is the parameter. Movie title to search for. It has no default value, and it's optional. Okay, they let you know if it's optional or not. OMDB is nice. All right, so we've got our parameters. We've got our API key. 9 times out of 10, API keys actually will be in the authorization section. So here's the authorization tab. And as you can notice, there's a lot of different ways to authorize an API because it's on the internet. Anyone can reach it. So we want to make certain that only the people we want to have hit our API, which makes sense. So we have an API key, which is one way. You can have bearer tokens, auth, OAuth. You'll learn more about these later. But the gist of it is, you don't want just any random bot to come up to your API and hit it. You want to be able to make sure you have some security. All right, so let's do this. So we've got the base URL, and the parameter, which is T for title and Doctor Strange. Let's see what we get. All right, and now we get back our response, but it's in JSON, and this is completely common. You could receive a response as HTML or XML. Here you can see like a different text, but like most of it's JSON. Remember, JSON is JavaScript, so here we go. We got key value pairs, so the title is Doctor Strange, the year is 2016, etc., etc. And it's got a bunch of different data about the movie, including the image for the poster, which is kind of nice. All right, so that's the basic way in which to use Postman. Postman is very simple. Like you can even save your query. Okay, so I have a collection over here of different queries I commonly do. So for example, I use an API at work called Plaid, which is a paid for API, and you can see they have a bunch of different endpoints to do different things, like to get the balance of someone's account and whatnot. So these are all Plaid-based APIs. This whole thing right here. You'll hear the term endpoint. Okay, so you'll hear the term we're hitting the endpoint. All that means is that, remember how APIs are a controlled way to deal with data? Well, you can think of this as an endpoint. Someone has some program written in some language that is waiting, just sitting there waiting for someone to make a request like this so that it can serve us this data that we got here in the just JSON format. All right, so that's the basic means by which you can talk to an API using Postman. Again, there's more to it. There's headers, and then there's the body. But for right now, we're using simple third-party APIs, so we don't have to do that much. All we have to worry about are the parameters. Okay, and again, if you want to add a parameter, you can that you've already typed, you can just hit this box, and you'll see how it will light up, meaning it's a thing you can do now. It also knows at the top how this changed. Let's say I want to use S instead of T, I can just click one on and click one off. And then when I use S, it gives me a list of movies that that contain the word strange or doctor. Pro tip with third-party APIs: always do some tests using Postman to see what response you get back. The documentation, like I said, there's no standard, so maybe they documented it well, or maybe they didn't. But the first thing you should always do is make a request, try some requests out, see what kind of response you get from the request. So that way later on you don't tear your hair out. All right, that is a quick review of Postman. Again, we'll be using this more later on in class, but for right now, that's enough to get you started.